ResortLoop.com's HolidayThon 2020 is proud to be sponsored by Joffrey's Coffee and Tea Company and Resort Loop Travel. Joffrey's announced it on ResortLoop.com their new flavored coffee, Nana's Apple Crumb Cake. It features the sweet taste of French apple crumb cake with notes of caramel and cinnamon. You can find Nana's Apple Crumb Cake and others at Joffreys.com. If you are considering a trip to Walt Disney World, look us up at ResortLoopTravel.com. We will find you the best possible Disney price on a magical Disney vacation. That's ResortLoopTravel.com.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas. To our new passengers, aloha and welcome aboard.
Ho, ho, ho!
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. I'm Tim Scott. HolidayThon continues. This is ResortLoop.com, the gateway to the magic, the ho, ho, ho in... Well, ho, ho, ho. I really should come up with something more exciting than that. Joining me on the show today, Mr. Jeremy Hunt. Hey, Jeremy.
Hey, guys. Is the partridge in the pear tree? That's all I want to know.
Is that what... I tried to beat it out. It was like, it turned out to be one of the partridge kids. So that was a mistake.
So many partridge. What? I mean, what do you even do with a partridge?
I think you make nuggets out of them, like at McDonald's.
Partridge
I'm not sure.
McNuggets.
Anyway, we are excited. I hope I'm speaking for you, Jeremy. We have a super looper on the show. And it's Mr. Kal Connor. Hey, Calvin.
Aloha, Tim.
Now, we decided to have Calvin on the show because he just came back from a trip to Aulani. And there's nowhere I would rather go at this time of year during the holiday season. One, to get out of Ohio, and two, to go to Hawaii and visit Aulani. So, Calvin, you're going to tell us all about your exciting trip.
I sure am, and there's a whole lot to cover.
Okay, Calvin.
I'm jealous.
Oh, I know, Jeremy. I'm jealous as well. But we're going to turn green with envy. We are going to turn green with envy to match the holiday season. Calvin, how did you decide to go to Aulani? Like, how was your planning process deciding to go?
Yeah, so I guess we could start off. Last time I was on, I talked about having a COVID wedding.
Yes.
And we had plans to go on a cruise and then potentially Aulani for in December. This was our original plan for a honeymoon. And I think the last episode I was on, we actually did a one-bedroom Savannah View at Animal Kingdom Lodge. But we decided, that was only 2 days. That's not really a honeymoon. Let's do the full shebang, a whole week in Hawaii. So we used all of our DVC points for this year and last year because we've been in a banking situation.
Okay. And
we went to Aulani for a week.
Wow. One, that's fantastic. Two, I love you use the word shebang.
Is that something young people say? I'm only 28.
You can say shebang. Oh my goodness. So, what was involved for you? You decided you needed to go. What was involved for you to go as far as like doing the COVID testing and that kind of thing? Get it approved to go? Because I know Hawaii's just not letting people just fly in.
Yeah, so it was really weird. Really late November. So first of all, Hawaii opened up in like mid-October, I think, maybe November 1st, something like that. And I think Aulani opened in like the middle of November. And when you were first able to start going to Hawaii, you were able to take your test, if the results weren't in by the time you got there, that's okay. And then you just upload the results as soon as you got them. And then if as long as you're negative, you're good to go. They actually changed that on, I believe, November 28th, which was like a week before we were about to leave on our vacation. And they said, no, you have to have your COVID results before you get off the plane. And even before you get off the plane, before you get on the last leg of your trip, you must have a printout of your results of your negative COVID test for us. So they changed the rules and regulations in terms of like how to get there. So now, 72 hours before the last leg of your flight, you must be COVID tested. You must have the results back before you get on that last plane. You must have them printed out, and you must also upload them to the Safe Travel Hawaii website. So there's a lot of steps involved to make sure that you're actually able to go.
Oh, wow.
See, I was wondering how long before the flight you had to have one. So it's 72 hours?
Of the last leg of your trip. So if you're on 3 legs of a trip, so if you're flying to LAX, you're going to stay out there for a day, you're going to go to Disneyland, although you can't go to Disneyland right now. But if you could, and you did that, and then you'd be out there for a day, you'd still have to get tested within the day after, right, before you go. So if you're planning on getting tested 72 hours before, now you got to go 48 because you're staying a day in LA.
I don't want to jump ahead, but I do want to know what the plane scenario is like too with COVID.
Oh yeah, we could jump right ahead. So we flew with Delta. So Delta is keeping the middle seat open Although I really don't know how much this helps because the person behind you is definitely 6 feet
Right.
behind you. So they say it's for safety purposes, but I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to make you feel good. But the problem that we had with Delta was actually we paid for the upgraded seats, the Comfort Plus seats, and we actually didn't get them on 2 of our 4 legs of our trip. And that was to and back from Honolulu, which is the longer flights. So that was really unfortunate. So we had to call them and be like, hey, we'd like some money back or a refund because we didn't get what we paid for. And they said it was because we probably booked and they weren't anticipating COVID to last this long. And so we got put next to people and they couldn't do that. So.
Huh. We paid for comfort and we didn't get it.
Yeah, we got those low brow seats back in the back, you know?
Oh, wow. Comfort and joy in this holiday season, and you didn't get the comfort part.
No, but it's all right. You know, we were still able to get out there, and that's all that matters.
Right. How long was your flight? Where'd you fly out of? Was it a direct flight from where you were?
So, funny story about the whole flight situations. We were actually planning to drive to Atlanta because Atlanta has direct flights. So we actually booked direct flights from and to Atlanta. We were just planning on driving, leaving our car there for the week, and then picking it up when we got back. Well, it turns out that they canceled the direct flights from Atlanta, probably because it's not worth it if they can't fill every seat.
Right.
So they rebooked us, and then we were supposed to leave out of Atlanta. And I said, no. If you're going to change the flights, let's just fly out of our hometown, Charlotte. So we did. So we were able to re-navigate the going out flight. Unfortunately, coming back, we would have had to have like a 2-hour layover. Then you got to get on the plane. Then you got to taxi for an hour. So we said, you know what? We're just going to rent the car from Atlanta on the way back. And we're going to drive to Charlotte that way. And but we still did not have the direct flight to Atlanta. We still had to stop in LA on the way back.
Oh, okay. Wow. Just a little interesting sub fact. Just within the last week or so, Hawaiian Airlines is flying directly to Orlando.
I heard about that, and that sounds great. Go to Walt Disney World for a week, do a direct flight out to Honolulu, and then do an Aulani trip for a week and just have like a mega vacation. You know what? Add Japan on too. You might as well go out there and go to Disneyland Japan.
I might as well bounce all the checks.
I don't think Japan will let us get anywhere near them right now.
Well, that's true.
But it does sound great.
They're probably holding a grudge. But anyway. All right. So, Calvin, you land in Aulani. You get to the resort. Is this your first time to Aulani?
Yeah, so this was our first time visiting even Hawaii in general. We've never been to Hawaii before.
So what were your thoughts when you landed?
So actually when you land, well, first of all, the security process to get off the plane is kind of weird too. So they have security guard, like they have National Guard people out there, like they're taking your temperature as you walk in, and then you got to like get single file down to make sure that you have your results and all that good stuff. But once you get past that, there's actually like a nice little pagoda like area, like in gardens. The Hawaii airport is like kind of open air partially, except for like where the actual planes come in. You get a little bit of AC. But yeah, so the airport is actually very beautiful at Honolulu. And then when we started our drive, I was like, you know what? Hawaii doesn't look that great.
Oh, wow.
Tell me more.
Yeah, so look, when you're first, so the problem was this is because like I'm mostly focused on driving, right? Because it's the first time in a new city. Obviously, don't want to wreck a rental car. I didn't pay for the extra insurance, so obviously driving a little bit more careful than what I usually would, and so I was just focused on driving. But the good news is, once you've been there for a while and you're not solely focused on driving, you're always paying attention while you're driving. However, when you have a little bit of free time to like look around, you can actually take in the beauty of Hawaii as a whole, because it's you could just see mountain ranges like the whole time. But I wasn't able to see that when I was first driving. So it actually gets better as you're driving, and getting more comfortable in the environment.
Oh, wow. Awesome. How long is the, so you rented your car and you went to Aulani. How long is the drive?
You can get from one end to the island to the other in about an hour.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I think to the airport's about a half an hour.
All right. That's great.
This is Oahu?
Yeah, this is on Oahu. So yeah, we should specify that there is an island called Hawaii, but we were not staying on Hawaii. Oahu is an island of the Hawaiian Islands.
Right. There are also longhouses at the Polynesian, but not to change topics. I know. Keep up, Tim. Don't go changing on us. All right. So, what'd you think when you got to Aulani? How'd the ride there go, and what'd you think as you were pulling up?
Yeah, so the ride there was great. So actually, when you get to the Ko-Aulani area, which is like the area where Aulani is, that's actually when you start to see a lot of like the vibrant Hawaiian colors that you would expect, like from like movies and stuff. So like as you're driving up, you're like, ooh, like this is actually very pretty. And I think that whole area is like a higher end of the island in general. So it's very pretty to like pull up to that area. But you pull up to Aulani, and actually the driveway to Aulani is actually very small. It's not like as grand as, like Jumbo House at Disney World or like the Wilderness Lodge. Like that entryway into it is not as grand. However, once we were able to park the car and we were both able to walk in, it's a very small in terms of foot space, like square footage on the floor. However, it does have a very grand ceiling, and it kind of reminds you of like the Wilderness Lodge and very similar to Animal Kingdom in terms of dimension. Third dimension upwise, and great grandness. Okay,
great. Sounds beautiful.
Yeah, and then so actually, when you first walk in, there's actually some little I don't even know what to call them, decorations. So like that's very good. But of course, we're visiting during the holiday season, so like you walk in and like you get like a little bit of the holiday experience, like walking in with like some of the was it tinsel? Is that what it's called? Green stuff.
Tinsel garland, yeah.
Garland, yeah, and then deck the halls as well. There is some red Christmas balls and stuff like that up as well. But I guess the coup de grace is like when you walk forward past the little check-in area and you get to the expansive overview to Aulani, where you see like the little volcano where the slides are and the pool area, and then behind it the ocean/sunset area.
Oh,
I'm looking at a picture of that right now because I wanted to check this out, and man, that looks amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely spectacular when you first like get there, and also the smells smell amazing. My wife wants an Aulani candle.
Nice.
And is it a big lazy river down through the middle of that? That's what it looks like.
So the lazy river is actually kind of confusing. It's not that long. Well, it's not like a Typhoon Lagoon size or like a Volcano Bay size. I haven't been to Volcano Bay, but it's not that size. It's bigger than the one at the Yacht and Beach Club.
Okay.
Yeah. So virtually right where that volcano is two slides. One is a tube slide. One is a person slide. Virtually the tube one takes you to the lazy river. The other one takes you to the main pool area. So imagine that in terms of where that is. Kind of, you can't really see 3 dimensions in a picture, but kind of like do a perspective view. And then that area, there's a lazy river that'll come up, and it comes almost to the lobby. It's about, I'd say 20 feet in front of it maybe or so. And then that circles back around on the left side towards the building on the left, and then up and back and around. But there's only a little back portion.
How many buildings are there as part of Aulani? The pictures that I'm looking at, it makes it difficult to tell.
Yeah, so you got the Grand House, or whatever that's called. So you got the main check-in area, and then there's going to be one building to the right and one building to the left. I'm not, to be 100% positive with you, Auntie's Beach House was closed, so I don't know if Auntie's Beach House is part of the building on the left or if it's a separate building. There's also Ama Ama's, which is a dining restaurant, which is detached, obviously. If we're talking about buildings as a whole, there's a whole lot of individual buildings, because there's like the Lava Shack, there's the Shave Ice Shack. These are technically buildings.
Yeah, sorry. So exactly. I meant like the buildings where the rooms are, and it looked from this photo like there were 2 large buildings, and I guess that's what you're seeing there.
Yeah, there's 2 towers for rooms. Yeah.
And those kind of frame the ocean view with all of the cool like pool, lazy river, volcano stuff between them, yeah?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice. Tell us about your room. Like, what kind of room did you get? And what kind of view did you have? That kind of thing.
Sure. So because we're going for the actual honeymoon, we actually booked an ocean view room. Ooh. And we actually had a studio for the week.
Okay. Nice. Did you find the studio spacious enough since it was just a couple of you?
Yeah, because it's just the two of us, it was actually really easy in terms of like space. It was a perfect amount. I would say that it would probably be better to have a one bedroom in the future. But, you know, everyone, I think, wants more space.
The ocean view room that you guys had, is it the rooms that are nearest the beach there, or is it the ones that I see that are kind of on one of the wings of the building?
I believe, so don't hold me to this, I'm not looking at a map of the DVC rooms. I did try to look this up, though, before we went, just to see like where the levels are. I think the higher level you are becomes ocean view. Okay. And then like lower ones would be pool or island view. So those would be the ones underneath us, obviously. And then on the outsides of the building, this would be the standard view facing like the parking lots.
Gotcha. Man, I would hate to fly all the way there and look at the parking lot from the room.
Me too.
Be like, dang it, really?
Was the resort crowded?
If you've looked on any of the like websites or people that are talking about Aulani, on the weekends, like during COVID, Disney was offering locals like 50% off on the weekends. So the weekends get hugely crowded with people, mostly locals, coming in and enjoying the resort for the weekend. Which is great. Like they got to have vacation too.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. So before we get into like what you did around the resort and while you were in Hawaii. Actually, how much time did you spend in your room? Because a lot of people say, I want the smallest room. I might not want a great view because I'm not planning on being in the room. Maybe, did you plan on being in the room more since you did have an ocean view? How'd that work?
So we actually didn't plan to spend that much time in the room because there's actually a lot to do on Oahu beyond Aulani, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we were not planning on doing like a lot just at the resort. We were planning on going everywhere and experiencing everything that we could to an extent. We had 2 resort days.
Yeah, would you say 2 resort days was enough to do everything there?
Absolutely. I mean, But to be honest, I would have been happy just staying right at the resort with the pool, the ocean view. It was fantastic. I would have been happy just staying at Aulani.
You're not the first person I've heard say that, actually, that they wondered if they would get bored just being, somewhere without a theme park, and that was not the case.
Oh, absolutely not. Like, the resort itself is not specifically a theme park, but the whole island is. Like, it's amazing. Like, I definitely preferred that actually over a Walt Disney World trip, to be honest with you. It was very relaxing. I didn't have to worry about getting from ride to ride and all that kind of stuff.
Similar to a cruise, it sounds like.
Yeah, I didn't have to book Fast Pass. I didn't have to book dining. I just called them that day and asked if I could get a reservation. So that was wonderful.
Wow. How was the dining?
So we start with, so there's a couple places you can go. So right now there's a quick service, which is the Ulu Cafe. Across from it is this little coffee bar, which I recommend both of those. For the sit-down restaurants, there is Off the Hook, which is like the poolside dining area, which I also highly recommend. We got that like our first night at Aulani. And also they have Makahini's that is open right now, which is typically a buffet. Again, due to COVID, it's a 3-course prefix menu.
Was it good?
So Off the Hook was like one of the best meals that we had. I had a hot dog, and it was like a Hawaiian hot dog. It had like pineapple, bacon, some garlic aioli on top. It was like the best hot dog I've ever had in my life.
Very interesting.
I'm looking at the picture of the Off the Hook. That looks like a wonderful venue.
It's absolutely great being there. And I think if you get towards the bar side, you might be able to see the ocean from there while you're dining as well.
Did you have any Spam on this trip?
McDonald's has Spam for breakfast, but you know what? We said we're going to pass.
Well, if I was going to have Spam, it wouldn't be for breakfast. I'll tell you that, because I got a day ahead of me.
Well, I'm still interested in trying Spam, so that's next trip. I'm going to look for some. Was it pork sizzle Spam? Or I don't even know the whole abbreviation.
Did you have any of the official shave ice? Is that what they call it out there in Hawaii?
Yeah, it's it's shave, not shaved ice. I'm not sure why they don't have the D.
Mm-hmm.
But I really wanted to have the shave ice at Aulani because they do it in like the Mickey shape. But we decided not to do that. One day we were up in the North Shore, which is just obviously the north side of the island. There's this place called Matsumo Shave Ice. And apparently it's the best one on the island. So we said, you know what? We got to try it because they make their own syrups. And we did. And I'll tell you what. Get the shave ice here and make sure that you get the ice cream in the bottom of the bowl. Because when you get that shave ice with the ice cream, like with the flavor, it's beautiful.
Wow, that sounds great. Oh, and you also shared on Looper Nation Live your picture of Leonard's. Tell us about what Leonard's is.
Yeah, I was wondering too.
So I'll be honest with you guys. We didn't go to the actual bakeries. We went to just the Leonard's food trucks.
Cool.
Which are, I think there's 3 or 4 of them around the island. But if you don't have time to get to the actual Leonard's, I highly recommend these Leonard's truck. Anyways, so the Leonard's, so you can get some melisadas. I think they're melisadas. I think that's how you pronounce it. But they're like these pillowy, delicious donuts, pretty much. So, like, imagine a cross between the inside of a Krispy Kreme donut and an actual, like, bakery's, like, fluffy yeast donuts. And then you have a little bit of that hard, crusty, cakey outside, but the inside is just so pillowy and light, like you're biting into a cloud.
Oh,
and it's just wonderful.
I'll be right over. That sounds awesome.
It's so good. The only thing I would say is I do not recommend the sweet and sour version of the melisadas. I thought that they were pretty gross, but my wife was happy to eat 2 of them. So
I will say I would notice occasionally you'd see them eating those on a Hawaii 5-0 with the actual pink boxes and the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. they probably had them all the time with the set. Oh, they're so good.
Did you visit any lounges on property there? I haven't looked them up, but the one thing that we just talked about, I guess, is kind of a lounge, but I'm just curious.
So the only lounge that I knew of that was open was the Oleo, something like that.
Okay.
So we did actually visit that. And so they actually have like all of like the Hawaiian words, and they have like a picture of whatever it is next to it. So like they had a cow and they had the Hawaiian word for a cow. I'm going to be honest, I can't remember that.
Oh, no problem.
Did you guys just pop in, or did you stop in and have a drink?
So we stopped in, we looked around, and we said, you know what? They actually have a sushi and like an appetizer menu. So we said, you know what? We're actually going to sit here and we're going to enjoy sitting at this lounge. So we did.
That's great. What did you think of it? Like the vibe, I guess, in general.
So I think I posted on Looper Nation about the where there's like 2 little booths where there is 2 singers where they come out at night and they sing like live music. Actually, that's right in front of, that's where the Oleo room is. So we actually sat right in front of them playing.
Cool.
It was very interesting, and I really liked hearing the live music when I was sitting next to them.
That's awesome. And you said you had sushi there? Are you a sushi fan?
Oh, I didn't have sushi.
Oh, I was just going to say, I wondered how it rated compared to other places. So,
no, I'm not a big sushi fan. I think my wife is. She had some sushi and she liked it a lot. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. I had sliders there. And
okay,
they were pretty good.
Awesome. Nothing wrong with the Hawaiian slider.
Not at all.
Oh my gosh. So, what did you do away from the resort? What kind of things did you do?
So in my opinion, I think it's, very respectful as an American to go and find yourself at Pearl Harbor at least once while in Oahu, right?
It's on my radar.
It has a lot.
Oh, I agree. That's on my radar as well when I get out there. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So, obviously World War II, Pearl Harbor, attack Pearl Harbor, pretty much got us involved in the war at that point. So I think it's great to go and visit and have, the memories and their experience, what actually happened that day. Actually, I think we were there the day after the anniversary, to be honest with you, of Pearl Harbor. And we got a free pearl from it, but that's a side story. But yeah, so we went and visited the USS Arizona, which is the sunken ship out there. You can see the little memorial, this white building. So that was great to go see that. Also, there's 2 museums kind of like right there next to it and explaining like what happened and the events leading up to it and during. So that was really interesting. It was also really interesting to read about how the attack actually went in terms of like, the air to water missiles that the Japanese were using during that time. But yeah, it's a really great thing to experience and really understand that part of the history. But also there is the USS Bowfin, which apparently was like one of the, I'm going to say, quote unquote, deadliest submarines that has ever been touring, I guess. So that was a very interesting thing to like go see like a submarine that was actually part of like an attack force. So I highly recommend that. That is a little bit of an additional cost, but yeah, I would recommend definitely going and doing that.
Do they allow you to tour the inside, or just to see it like floating nearby?
Yeah, so the Bowfin you can actually go inside of. So that's what the extra cost is for, and you get some little earbuds, quote unquote free, but you get to do an audio tour as you're going through it. So there's like an audio tour that you listen to, and it automatically goes as you're walking through the boat.
Wow. I'm a World War II sub fanatic, and I've been on one of them before, and that sounds great.
Yeah, it was like you walk through it. I didn't post a picture on Loop Nation because there's so many of them, but like 160 that I took. But like you walking through this thing, and you're just like, this looks awesome. I wouldn't want to live here because it's very tiny. I'm 6'1", so
right.
It was very tight quarters.
I was in one. Pittsburgh has one, like outside the Science Center. We went into, and I'm like, all right, now I'm starting to get a little claustrophobic, and I can't imagine being in here with like a bunch of other guys, like living 24 hours a day.
Like how did they have that many people on these things and function for days? Like how?
I don't know. The only thing that I do remember for certain, though, is they said they go 9 knots underwater, but like I think they said 20 knots on top of the water. I don't know how fast that actually is, but that's the only interesting fact that I remembered.
Wow. Did you happen to see the Arizona Memorial?
Yeah, so to get to the Arizona Memorial, it's a $2 service fee. You just got to do it on recreation.rex.gov or something like that. And it's like $2. Who cares?
Yeah.
But you get on the boat, and it takes you over there, and you could see the memorial of everyone who's died. It also explained how some people that survived that were there that day had been brought back and buried at the USS Arizona as well. You can also catch the oil leaking still. Apparently you can do that for a long time to come. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, when you go to if you're going to somewhere like Hawaii, you have to take extra cash for all these kind of tours because you spend so much to get out there. You don't want to like feel bad not bad, but you don't want to feel irritated that I have to spend a few extra dollars to see the things I want to see. And I would really want to see those kind of things.
Absolutely.
What else did you?
Curious about like driving tours across the island and stuff. Did you guys just do any random excursions, just driving around?
So we did not do just random driving around. They were very pointed, but I will say the drive from Aulani to the east side, so towards Waikiki, very busy in the morning. So if you're trying to go from west to east, very busy in the morning. Also, from like 3 to like 6 p.m. trying to go east to west is also very busy. So plan that into your day. So we were trying to get to Pearl Harbor at 8 o'clock. We're like, oh, it's only 20 minutes away. We're going to leave at 7:40. And of course, we went down to the coffee shop that morning to have some coffee. And the wonderful barista, she was so nice, but she took like 10 minutes talking to us. And so then we're like, oh man, I think we're going to barely make it. And then it turns out the traffic was really bad. We were a little bit late for the 8 o'clock boat, but they let us on the 8:30 boat.
Oh, it's nice.
Okay.
Wow. That's good.
Yeah, but the drive to the North Shore, beautiful. You're driving through the mountains. It's absolutely gorgeous. We did get lost at one point. We went to this little farmer's market. I don't even remember where it was. But there was no farmers there that day. But there's a soap shop and like another like coffee shop that's really just little nicks and knacks, I guess, that you could purchase. So that was interesting to find ourselves there.
We got lost, but we did come away with some awesome vegetables. So that's a good thing.
How lost could you get in Hawaii? Just drive one direction, you'll hit water at some point.
Eventually.
That's awesome. What else did you do while you were on Hawaii?
So the first day we were there, the first full day, we actually went to So Diamond Head was actually closed, which is something that I've wanted to do for a long time after reading about Hawaii. But Diamond Head State Park is apparently this really fantastic park. But it was closed because of COVID, which actually just reopened. So if you're going, check out Diamond Head. But we went to Cocoa Crater, which is it used to be a World War II like mine. Well, it's not like a mine. They had like something that would like go up and down. So there's like these tracks that go up, and eventually that's no longer a military thing anymore. And they turned it into like a walking trail. So it's a really long hike. I'll be honest with you. It took us 2 hours to get to the top and like another 2 hours to get back down. We're not very experienced climbers, so it did take us a while. But there are kind of like steps there. So like that was really fun. And we got there for sunrise. I don't know if you're supposed to get there before sunrise, but we did. We parked. We saw other people going. We followed other people. We found the trail. And it's just like a straight up hike. And it's amazing once you get to the top and you can see the sunrise. So I highly recommend, if you're adventurous, you like hiking, check out Cocoa Crater.
So we haven't been. So when you're doing a hike like this, what's the weather like there? I have no idea.
Perfect. I think all year round.
So like 80, like 70s, like what would you say?
I think it was like early in the mornings. It was like 70s.
Okay.
Maybe high 60s, low 70s. Give or take, and then the day was like mid 80s or low 80s.
Love it.
Yeah, it was great, and apparently it's like that year round.
Wow, you were there in December, so that sounds like a pretty good testament to that.
Yeah, I will say though, apparently during the winter months, so I think that runs from November to like April, the waves are a little bit stronger. So if you're planning on snorkeling, just be aware that if you want flat waves or flat pools, go during the summer months.
You guys did some of that, yeah?
Yeah, so we actually, as a recommendation from another Looper, we went to the Paradise Cove that's just right next to Aulani, and we caught some turtles. Well, we didn't catch them. We weren't eating them, but we caught them swimming. So that was really fun. There was like 3 or 4 of them that we saw. We took some videos, but you're not supposed to touch them, and you're not supposed to chase them. So that was really fun. We did some snorkeling at Aulani, and apparently there's some hammerheads that you can find in the cove. We didn't find the hammerheads, but we did find a very baby turtle in the Aulani Lagoon. And then we also did the snorkeling that you got to pay for at Aulani as well.
Is that just right off of the beach there that I see in front of the buildings, or no?
So if you go to the beach, that's free snorkeling as long as you have your own snorkeling gear. There's like a little pool that is actually like a kept up fish tank almost, like reef. Yeah, it's like a reef. So like kind of like did you ever do the thing at was it Typhoon Lagoon where you could swim with the sharks?
No, I'm not a big shark guy, if I'm honest.
They were like little baby sharks back in the day. It's no longer there because they made room for other slides. But yeah, so it's very similar to that experience if you ever did it. But yeah, you get a little snorkel gear and you can go and snorkel with some fish. There's no sharks in this one.
You were talking about like the hammerhead thing. Where is that?
Apparently those are out in the lagoon, but they're baby sharks that like can't get their way back out into the ocean. Apparently, allegedly. I don't know. I didn't see them. Other things that we did, so we went and watched some surfers up on the North Shore. We also went to Waimea Valley, which you could book through Aulani. We didn't book it through Aulani. We just went and visited it. There's an awesome waterfall at the end of the trail. You walk through botanical gardens. I will say the waterfall was freezing, and I was cold for like the next day. But it was very awesome to go and swim in a waterfall. So that was really fun as well.
And a botanical garden, you say? You went through to get there?
Yeah, so it's like a living like gardens area, but they have like everything labeled, like what each of the things are. They show if it's endangered, if it's not endangered, like where it came from, all that kind of stuff.
Oh man, I would love that. That's on my list then.
It was great. The phones cannot pick up as quite vibrant pictures as I would have liked, but I do have some pictures from that as well.
You have to send us some to post with the show.
I'll send you some. I got hundreds.
This is a Joe Rohde creation, right? Joe Rohde and team. Is that right?
It is. That was his baby. And he was from Hawaii.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I think that's one reason it's so detailed and so beautiful. It's got his hand all over it.
I've heard that there are just lots of little details to find around the resort. I'm curious if there's anything that you just passed by that made you stop and take a look at it.
So I think one of the most fun things to do while you're at Aulani would be, looking for the menehue. They're like these little characters of creation and mischief, apparently, in the Hawaiian culture. And but they're hidden all over the resort, and I love those little details. Very similar to Hidden Mickeys, but they're a little bit more obvious than Hidden Mickeys. But it's very fun to go around and try to find them all.
I love that.
That's outstanding. Great. Does this resort have the Disney feel? Do you walk in? I know there's no theme parks around. You walk in and go, this feels like a Disney resort.
Absolutely. So we stayed at another resort for one night when we first got there. The bed at the other resort was nicer, but when you walked into Aulani, you're just like, I could stay here. So it definitely has that Disney feel of I want to stay here.
Did we talk about how long you were there when we started the show? I don't remember.
No, we were there from, so we arrived on a Saturday. We actually went to Aulani on Sunday, and then we had another hotel Saturday night, and then we checked out on Saturday morning. Okay,
and you were coming from the East Coast, so what's the least amount of time you would spend on going to Aulani, and the max might be forever, but what's the maximum amount of time you'd probably plan for a Aulani trip?
Yeah, just because Hawaii is expensive, I'd say maybe a max of 2 weeks. Although we did look into moving to Hawaii, and it's a little expensive.
Is it?
It was so great. We were just we just want to be here all the time. But the minimum amount of time, honestly, I'd say do whatever you can. If you can do a 3-day trip and you can get out to Aulani for 3 days, I would highly recommend it. But for me, I'd probably want to go back for at least 7 days and 8 nights. Yeah.
Oh, that's a great tip. Because you do that. How does jet lag feel going out and coming back?
We virtually stayed on the Eastern Standard Time or Eastern Time because we kind of want to keep the same schedule to a little bit the same degree. So we woke up between 3 and 5 most mornings. Towards the end, we started to get less jet lagged as we were more tired from experiencing everything on the island. Coming back, the first day was rough. We took a red eye back. I slept in the car. My wife drove from Atlanta back to Charlotte. And pretty much from there, that's it. Yeah. So then we kind of caught up that day. And the next day we're back to work on Monday. I also recommend taking the day before and the day after your trip off.
Oh, that's a good call.
So that you're not sitting at your desk with a stare thinking about Hawaii and everybody's like, dude, you're supposed to be working.
You know how it goes. And that day before, you're really just thinking about the trip the whole time. Now, I would really recommend post-COVID where you don't have to worry about all that testing stuff because we were stressed to the max getting into that. Because I won't explain the whole situation because I want to be positive here. But yeah, so yeah, absolutely.
And Cal, before we go, I need to thank you for doing a live stream to Looper Nation Live from Aulani. That was so awesome.
Yeah, that was cool, man.
Oh, no problem. Unfortunately, the time zones, maybe not everyone got to catch it actually live, so I was joking around that we only had 1 or 2 people watching, which is kind of funny as you're watching it. But, yeah, you can check out, we did a tour of a 1-bedroom.
Yes.
Which is a 1-bedroom plus a studio. Well, it's like a bedroom plus a studio. And then we also did a tour of the Grand Villa towards the end of the video. So if you want to skip ahead, go right ahead. I also recommend skipping about 4 minutes and 23 seconds until we actually start the tour of the longer video, the first videos. Technical quality.
No problem. It was great to see. I love the forethought in that, and I love that you did that for everybody in Looper Nation.
Oh, it's Looper Nation Live for a reason.
There you go. And everybody out there, if you're out there in the parks or somewhere, feel free to stream over on Looper Nation Live. Share with everybody where you're at. Cal, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Oh, mahalo for having me, Tim.
Oh,
love it.
Oh, so Cal, if anybody wants to reach out to you, maybe they have some certain questions they want to ask, where can they do that?
You can find me over on Looper Nation Live.
Absolutely. I threw up the softball and you hit it. How about you, Jeremy?
I'm also over there, also on Instagram at Jeremy Hunt FL.
Oh, and you have great pictures too, by the way. I just have to throw that out there.
Thank you.
It also makes me jealous I'm not in Florida right now, also, when I see those pictures, by the way. I'm just a jealous man today.
It's finally good weather here, so it's finally a place where we can be like, okay, we're earning it.
There you go.
Got through summer.
Listen, Tim, after this, I hope you go and find that Resort Loop credit card and you find yourself out in the lot.
You never know. It just might happen. Everybody, HolidayThon will continue. Thank you, Cal. Thank you, Jeremy, for joining me on the show. Everybody,
welcome.
This has been the Gateway to the Magic. Take us out, Cal.
See ya, everybody.